the EFINA podcast.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's episode on the EFINA podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing a very important issue, breaking the silence on consumer dispute reporting and resolution in Nigeria, which means an important guest today that's going to be discussing this topic. The EFINA podcast is a multi-actor conversation platform where we highlight critical issues that affect financial and economic inclusion in Nigeria and how DFS can drive economic growth, which means a payment expert that has spent decades in the industry building and developing innovative solutions that cut across different segments of the ecosystem. He's done a lot. He's led different strategic partnerships to grow the ecosystem. He's driven different solutions. And of course, he is the current chairman of the Committee of E-Business Industry Heads in Nigeria, the association we call CeBIH, which brings together all financial service providers, that are responsible for payment. And of course, he's a custodian that is driving from the industry point of view, the Payment Systems Vision 2030. At WEMA Bank, he is the Chief Partnership Officer. He's no other person than Mr. Ajibade Laolu-Adewale. We call him Mr. Chairman. Sir, you're welcome to today's episode.
Thank you. I said my head was swelling like this. So I was wondering is this the me that you're talking about? Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. We know your schedule is very busy, but I think one thing that is fascinating is that we cannot talk about dispute reporting and resolution without coming to CeBIH, the umbrella body responsible for driving payments in Nigeria.
Correct.
Before we start, I want to do an icebreaker. Let's imagine, sir, that this is 2015, right? And at CeBIH, you are in charge of ensuring that payment is deepened across Nigeria as it is.
Yeah.
What will it look like in 2025 for you in terms of how disputes are reported and resolved? What would be the expectation in 10 years from now if this was 2015?
So I have to give it to my predecessors.
Great.
The previous chairman of leaders of CeBIH. They've really done well in what we currently have today with respect to dispute resolution. But more importantly, I would like to clap for the regulators, Central Bank of Nigeria.
Amazing.
Because Central Bank has supported all the ideas CeBIH has brought to the regulator, especially with respect to dispute resolution. Imagine 2015, some 10 years ago, how a simple transaction that failed from a mobile transfer or internet transfer, or even from banking or transfer to the other bank, how it was being resolved. Or a simple transaction like a failed card withdrawal from an ATM that wasn't your bank that deployed that ATM. So it was a difficult situation at that time, but along the course of this conversation, I will tell you the things that we have all done collectively as an industry to ensure that we shorten that time. Customer service with respect to dispute resolution is faster now. And the frustration banks, especially the sending bank or the issuing bank, depending on the instrument, go through to get their customers' issues resolved. The frustration they go through is now next to nothing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So 10 years ago, the situation is not like what we currently have. There's a whole lot of improvement, to be honest with you. And I'm sure the consumers also agree with me that things have changed. Things have really, really changed. In fact, operators are getting better in using the solutions we have in place. They are getting creative in using those solutions to serve their customers properly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quick facts. According to a Global Findex report, right, by the end of 2023, about 45% of Africans have had to deal with one transaction issue or the other. Now, of these, only 35% of them, right, have actually been able to follow through. Follow through, meaning that they were consistent to push through. But the rest never followed through. If we come back to Nigeria, more than 50%, right, have had their dispute reported, right, not addressed within the time that they feel this issue should have been resolved. So the connection here is that when disputes are not properly resolved, it lowers trust in the DFS ecosystem or the platforms.
Sure.
My question then is it a consumer problem not having to report for those who do not report, or not having to follow up for those who have even reported and do not follow up? Is it a consumer problem or is a provider issue?
Okay, so to answer that question, I need to take us to the basics, the background, and how do we even get to this place in the first instance. And you talked about the issue of trust. Payment is all about trust.
True.
Long before convenience and service. It's trust first. So I trust that for the extent of this goods or service that you want to provide for me, when I say that I have transferred and show you a receipt from my phone that this money has left my position, you believe, or when you check your phone, your bank tells you that this money is already in your account based on what you can see, or from one innocent alert that this money is already in your account. You trust that thing, and then you release for goods. You release your goods or you render service.
True.
When I transfer money from my position, from my current bank to the other bank, or I use any other instrument like a card for service, either to make payment or to cash withdrawal, what happens is my bank gets notified and ask for some authorization that I am the right person that is trying to do that transaction. Once I provide the authentication that my bank and I have agreed at the beginning of my account opening, my bank debits my position and credits an internal account, which is supposed to be for the payables. Now, based on the arrangement with various schemes, switching schemes, and says, whenever I have debited my customer, I will notify the scheme that I have taken money on behalf of this customer. Please help me notify the beneficiary bank or the merchant bank that this money has been taken in trust on your behalf. Please notify your customer that you have collected this money, either by debiting your own internal accounts for payables, because for receivables, and credit your customer. So you can see that there is more like a three-level, three-way. It's actually a five-way, because the consumer
is one part.
There is one part that is the customer transferring, and the beneficiary is another person. But there is still the bank, the switch, the sending bank, the switch, and the receiving bank. Now, so many things can happen truly in between. It could be that system is down from this side, from that other side, from that other side. Why would system be down? Maybe in Nigeria we still have high infrastructural issue. They've taken lights just in the middle of the transaction, or internet failed from the service provider in the middle of transaction. So many reasons can be responsible.
True.
Not necessarily the bank or the switch. So many people can be responsible. But overall, the transaction failed. So money has been debited from my account, but cash didn't come out from the ATM. So when money is debited from my account, it is paid into that internal account that I mentioned earlier on for payables. But the receivable was not debited. In reality, when settlement comes, because the scheme will do settlement at close of business, money doesn't leave the street and be flying on the road like this from your bank to another bank vault. No, it is based on settlement process. So I will notify the switch to tell the bank that I have debited my customer and I'm in custody of that money. But along the line, the messages failed. So the beneficiary bank didn't get notification. Ideally, when settlement is supposed to come, my bank shouldn't be debited for that transaction. So that means that money will still remain in my bank's payables. If reconciliation is properly done, close of business, my bank should say that this money was not debited, that they were not debited for that transaction. So they should automatically reverse it back to me. Where transactions were just one in a day, it will be easy. But we're talking about 1,000, 1 million transactions daily. So it's difficult really to be able to do it. And that's where new technology comes in to help with faster reconciliation. The central bank has also done a fantastic job with process monitoring. Gone were the days where a bank will have a lot of money in their payables and they can't account for it. But today, regulator can come and check that account. Why do you have so much money there? It's customers' money. You should have returned it back to the account. Based on the tools the industry have agreed to produce nowadays, you will see where people are doing instant reversal.
Reversal, yes.
You will know that this transaction failed. So why are you waiting to close your business? You instantly reverse it. I know that the industry and the players and operators are at various or different level of integration or transformation. You know, so some will give you instant reversal. Some will give you close of business reversal. But there are other tools we have used, which is again the process I mentioned. We are using technology, people, and process to drive these things so that your money can be reversed in good time. So is it a consumer product, consumer issue or operator's issue? There are issues, but we are working towards it.
Great.
And we are using process to drive it. Eventually, all of us will get to the same level, eventually. But I can assure you that large number of people are already at the fantastic level. I also tell you what we are doing from my bank perspective.
Okay.
But from an industry perspective, I can tell you that there are more people who have digitalized the journey than people who have not done it. You get the point?
Yes.
There are also platforms that helps with, yes, I have this issue from my bank and I'm not getting response. So in those days, what will happen is a customer will have to go to the banking law to say, I have this problem with my bank. I did this transaction and it didn't go through. They are my bank, help me. The bank in the branch get in touch with head office. Head office will get in touch with the other bank. Where are we? It's a long story. But today we now have platforms that all of us are connected to. I'm sure if you have questions leading to that, I can speak more to it.
We'll come to that.
Okay. Good.
So following up on the platforms that you talked about, in our last episode, we talked about invisible victims.
Yeah.
And I will create a context. So fraud or transaction failures are reported. Now, when we do the stats, what came in as number of issues that were reported and those that were redressed are the issues that we captured. So if any transaction was not reported as failed or as a dubious, or of course, transactions can be successful, but yet they were dubious, maybe scam and all of this. So if they were not reported, we won't treat them as such. Correct me if I'm wrong. Seemingly so.
Yes, seemingly so.
Okay. Especially the ones that have to do with fraud. So when an account identity is stolen and the user does not come out to say the money is gone like that, because of course authentication and authorization was given. So the bank had to honor those transactions.
Yes.
Now, these invisible victims, we describe them as people who do not have voice, they do not have platform, no internet connection, they live in places where it is difficult. Maybe the only person they even have they could use are the bank agents anyway. I will call it financial service agents now, not just mobile money agents. And in some places, these agents don't even know how to handle this, So the question there is, what are the platforms? You mentioned these platforms, right? Are these platforms available to these invisible victims that live in remote areas, those that are illiterate, that are not educated, do not have the digital tools to be able to address or file their complaint as the case may be? Are there tools that are available to them?
Okay. So, and we need to isolate the issues.
Great.
There is failed transaction. There is fraud cases, reported fraud cases. And there's also business gone bad.
Yes.
So I have bought something from someone. What I ordered is different from what I got. And I'm going to report it as a failed transaction or a dubious transaction. No,
that's we have to isolate that.
Exactly, we have to isolate that. Then there is a fraud case too, whereby I compromised my credential. Somebody told me to make a click on something. I clicked on it. They asked me for my username and my password. I submitted it myself voluntarily. And they took over my system. And then they perpetrated fraud. So that's another one.
Yes.
Then there is one that my account was debited unlawfully. Somehow. It wasn't me that did that transaction. They all have different means of being addressed. Okay. For the ones that it wasn't me that did this transaction, I didn't order for a card. I didn't get a card. But yet,
you received an alert.
Lagos here. Somebody is debiting me from Anambra. Not a problem. In all of this, there's no problem.
Okay.
Just make sure that you didn't compromise. So you get to your bank. There must be somebody who issued you that instrument, either through an agent or through the bank. Somebody opened an account for you. When I say instrument, it could be an account, it could be mobile access to your account, it could be card, it could be. So they are all payment instruments.
True.
Good. So somebody gave you. You know that place how to get it. You go and complain adequately. Excuse me, I either got an alert or I wanted to access my money that I gave to you the other time. But I can't find that money again. What happened? Even if it is 10 years, you have gone abroad or something that happened. When you come back, you go and complain to the people who gave you that instrument. I can't find the money I gave you again, this bank. Where's my money? They will go and trace it. Sir, you withdrew this money through the counter. No, it's not me. For every time somebody is withdrawing from an account, there is a camera picture that is taking it. There is a teller who processed it. So you can tell, even if it is the bank staff that is trying to steal your money, it wasn't me that withdrew this money. Where is the signature? Where are the instruments? It's kept, it's filed.
Okay.
So the cash, in fact, in some banks today, you don't even go to the bank to go and fill any teller anymore. You put in your biometrics, and then you can see your BVN, can validate it. This is your face, this is you. So you are wondering that I didn't even sign anything. They know, because there's a timestamp that says this is you trying to withdraw, and you validated it with your thumbprint. No security can be more than that. So, but in the case where the other instrument used, you compromise it yourself. You are the one that and it happens so much in the WhatsApp fraud, where they will send you, and some people will call you and say there's a meeting coming up. That code, give it to us. So you released it, and they started collecting money from your families and friends. Your families and friends were the ones that logged into their platforms with their two eyes opened without verifying from you. They debited themselves, they put the PIN. So all those kind of things, we need to isolate them. Now, when I have seen that I've been scammed, I can go to my bank because there's still a redress.
True.
Go to my bank and say, I have been scammed. Yes, I transferred this money myself. Problem most times is that people don't want to confess the truth. Tell your banker, it was me that transferred this money. I thought I was transferring it to the real person who sent me a chat. But unfortunately, it's not the real person. Your money is not totally lost, because banks have a connection among ourselves. We can help you trace the money. And electronic transfers is the best form of payment, because we can check how this money has moved from this place to the next place and track that money for you. So those platforms are available to everyone. In fact, there is one called Industry Dispute Resolution Platform, whereby operators are integrated from card schemes to switches to processors to all financial institutions, banks and fintechs plugged into that platform. So I can lodge a complaint by my customer against this other bank. It is the responsibility of that bank to respond back to that complaint within 24 hours.
Does that always happen?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so
if there's something lodged against your bank and you don't respond, there's an exception report generated to the regulator. The platform is hosted at NIPS.
That's different from the CeBIH fraud.
So that is for industry.
That's industry.
Industry dispute resolution between operators. Customers don't have access to that.
Okay.
What I have done in my bank alert is you can log on to alerts, see that transaction, click on it, and as you are clicking on it, you are reporting it through an API on that platform directly, because that platform started from what was ordinarily a portal. Now we have built intelligence into it so that you can connect to it through API. And banks have become extremely creative by plugging it into their mobile app, so that their customers don't have to come physically to the bank, to come and make a complaint. You can complain from alert. The system sees it without any human intervention and goes ahead to go and treat it against that other bank.
I have two questions
tied
to this, then we'll go to the CeBIH platform. Number one, is there a time frame that a customer is supposed to log a complaint?
No, there's no time frame.
I'm asking you this because I've experienced in a bank, where a customer had come to say, I did a transaction so time, and because of my busy schedule, I've not been able to come. So it was an ATM transaction at a POS transaction at a filling station. The first one failed, and the second one went through. But even the one that failed was debited. So the two debits, happened, and it was showing the statement, and the customer care, the service desk said, you were supposed to report this within 10 months. It's more than 10 months, we don't have the history on our system. And there was chaos in the back. So I stepped in to ask, where is this stated? I said, it's the CBN policy. So I asked a few persons who were, elite, and said, is anybody aware of this policy? And everybody was looking dumbfounded. And that's why I'm asking, is there a time frame that a customer is supposed to log a complaint? Whether it is fraud, whether it is failed transaction, whether it's identity theft, whether it was a compromise to account. All is that, whether, irrespective, there should be an opportunity to log. So come honestly and say, I compromised my account and funds went out. But the point is that there should still be a platform to log a complaint, right? So you just said there is no time boundary to do that.
I'm not aware that there's a time bound to that. And if you look at all the machinery set in place, if you default me today, even if it is 5 years' time, when I remember that you cheated me 10 years ago, I can still take it to EFCC, Economic and Financial Crime Commission. So, and then I will prove to them that this was how I moved my money from me to you. You're supposed to do this for me, but you did not do it. I'm also aware that banks have the obligation to keep transaction history of as far back as 7 years ago. So if I remember 5 years after to say, I have a failed transaction, I'm sure that you are obliged to keep those transaction history. What the bank can tell you is, we settled your merchant choice.
Okay.
So I bought fuel at this filling station, and the money didn't go through, or maybe it went through, but it says transaction failed here, and I had to pay cash. So that means I've done double payments. Once I complain to my bank, and my bank can show that this money was credited, I go to the filling station, excuse me, it was credited to you, but I still paid cash to this guy. And we check, okay, this transaction was settled for, but on the invoice it says transaction failed, but it was settled for. Because I will provide that invoice that says transaction failed. That is what they will use to process the reversal. Because it says transaction failed.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I paid cash. Now, in fairness, if you are owing me money for, if I'm owing you money for, I've collected money from you based on my salary in January. January has more than 30 days.
Yes.
I have collected money from your hands, promising you that I'll pay you salary in January. You paid my salary on the 22nd of the month, and on the 30th of the month, you have not asked me for your money. I've finished chopping the money. So you have not helped me.
You haven't.
So I would like to advise everybody, just in case you notice anything of fraudulent on your accounts or double payment or fake transaction, as early as you can, kindly tell your financial service providers so that they can begin to work on it. Because the issue is not that the process is not there, the platform is not there, it's there. But the person with the money, the person will have finished spending that money before you complain. If it's a fraudulent transaction, report in good time so that we can block that money and see how we can retrieve or salvage some funds for you. But you have waited 2, 3, 4 months. The first time I finished chopping the money now, have you?
Yeah. So you raised a very important question I wanted to follow up on, and I'm trying to be fast so that we can round up now.
Okay.
When you go to a merchant location and transaction fee, they tell you, go to your bank, right? Again, that has kind of addressed the issue for all the fights that happen at the merchant location.
Yeah.
Because merchants do not really know, what will happen. Maybe it was at the end of the, it will be at the end of the day before settlement will come and all of. But of course, the industry is working on that. Some people are receiving settlement almost instantly these days. And that's kudos to what you guys are doing. So when they then say, go to your bank for this fee transaction, in this case, the first one was issuer not available, but money went. Then the customer had to pay again just to get fuel. Now, going to the bank is another issue. So if at the banking end, we determine that the merchant was settled twice. Now the merchant has said, go to your bank, right? Do we have then to go back to the merchant to go and make that case? What would be the instrument or the evidence that we then have to take to the merchant to say, the bank said you were settled twice? Because in most cases, like, consumers don't even know, and I think it's a privilege to have you here to speak to some of these issues.
So again, when I was describing the
process
party that time, I mentioned the issuing bank and the beneficiary bank. There are different failure points. There are some reversals that are actually supposed to happen instantly. Because if the problem is still between me and my bank, and it says transaction failed, it's within me and my bank can see it. So my bank reverses that money immediately. You may have experienced that.
Yes.
If we had to have crossed over through the switch to the other guy, because the beneficiary bank has timeline to respond based on the rules governing settlement scheme. You as a player, once you present your situation, I have this number of time, microsecond, to get in touch with the beneficiary bank. Beneficiary bank needs to take action and come back to me, which also means debiting their own receivable and crediting their merchant and notifying their merchant. When they credit him, they will have sent SMS.
Yes.
And some places where they have smart collection, they will send it to the POS that this money has been collected, and then you see the POS printing
his slip
out. So those are the things there. If it fails, depending on the place where it is failing, it can do auto reversal or close of business reversal. But overall, the bank has visibility. There are some that there are other issues where the customer is not notified. It says transaction successful. Meanwhile, merchant say I didn't see it. Those ones are the ones that customers may have to complain about. Like I mentioned, we are at different levels of engagement with our customers. But I know that some banks today, you don't even need to go to a banking or to complain.
True.
Once you scan that document, some banks even have WhatsApp banking, whereby you can take a picture of that instrument and send to the bot. A bot will process it and notify it as, okay, this transaction failed, my customer has complained. The moment it wasn't set, it's not settled for, the other bank will come back to you, and then your account is credited. So settlement is far better than what we used to have 15 years ago.
Okay, two questions. And from your experience in the work you have led, right, in digitizing payments, new solutions, and all of that, what have you seen as the issue with customer that will come to the bank, and is it an awareness issue? Is it a literacy issue? Is it so there's a general financial literacy or even knowing what to do, and then there's being literate digitally, right? What are the issues you think have heightened poor dispute reporting and then leading to inability of the providers to really help because they don't have? Do you think the consumer is aware enough? That's number one. Or they are not literate enough? Or are there issues, patterns you see from reports that are consumer-centric, that if we were to address them, then we need to focus on the consumer? Because from what you have described, a lot have been done from the back end, right, in terms of systems and processes, right, and policies, that help the industry to work well. But there are still issues. In fact, we hear there is a report by McKinsey and Statista that about 60% of Nigerians, who report their disputes never get, satisfied in terms of the response. 25% of them have never received any answer, or feedback from the financial institution. So these are data that we can contend anyway, but the fact remains that there are disputes yet unresolved. Is it a consumer issue? If it is, what are the issues with the consumer and how do we address it?
Okay, again, I will be on the consumer side this time. I don't think the problem is consumer issue. There are some other issues, some people working against all the efforts we are doing. Like people who are trying to commoditize cash. They will keep giving you all the reasons why you should lack trust in the digital financial services that we provide to customer platforms. So you still have those issues to deal with. But the truth, I also think we need to do more. Our enemy is not ourselves. Our enemy is cash, fighting cash. Cash still has the highest number of transactions. And until we invest in reducing the usage of cash, we will not have that transparency. When someone complains and say, in fact, I hear funny complaint. Yesterday I was talking to someone, you and I were somewhere where we were talking, some guy said, I went to the ATM, and the ATM, instead of giving me 20,000 naira, give me 14,000 naira. I found that very strange.
True.
I asked my colleagues sitting next to me, have you ever experienced it before? Say no. Because it's computer that is counting it. Yeah. Where I am not ruling out human error, where you're supposed to load 1,000 naira notes here, and you have loaded 500 naira notes there. But even at the cassette of the ATM, the denomination, you can only put the denomination for which it is stated there. So I'm not saying the person who mentioned it is lying, but it's very difficult for you to order for 20,000 naira from the ATM, and then the ATM will give you 14,000 naira. But we hear all sorts. So let me leave the consumer out of this. I think the operators, we still need to do more. And knowing that competition is not ourselves, it is cash. We must do everything to fight cash, which includes literacy for even the person who says it's not working. To other services, fees, charges, it's not like it's expensive. At least today I can still boastfully say that banking industry is the only one that has not removed subsidy. Even federal government has removed subsidy for everything, but we are still here, we have not removed any subsidy, we have not increased any. Central Bank won't even allow us to do it.
Amazing.
You know, to improve and to increase our fees. Yeah. So overall, I'm not going to say that the problem is consumer. It is the operators that should do more with respect to literacy and create more platforms that will help us fight cash. So that the era of this thing is not working or the lack of trust will not be there.
Two in one question then. So December last year, December 4th precisely, you launched the CeBIH platform. Yeah. Right?
We launched
the
existing CeBIH.
The existing, yes. So, and there was two things that intrigued me. There's the fraud reporting part of it, and there was the awareness, the advocacy part of it.
Correct.
I wanted you to throw more light on that, right? What are the uniqueness of that? And what problem will it really be solving beyond what we know? I think for me, I would just say, it's a one-stop shop for all. But beyond that, are there things that we should know? That's part one of the question. Part two would then be, I talked about the invisible consumers, right? Or the victims who are in remote areas. One agent is all they have. That is a bank in the community. Yeah. But we hear that about 300 local governments, I need to verify, that do not have banks, right, at the moment. Whether that number is growing or is reducing, I don't know. But where agents have then become the bank in the neighborhood, what are you doing to make sure that this platform is in the hands of agents and they can use it effectively to help consumers?
Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to explain what the platform does.
Great.
But to answer your questions around what are we doing, part of it is why I'm here, sitting here.
Awesome.
Advocacy, to speak about it, to always engage, to show up everywhere, and then to speak about these things. What exactly have we done? We launched the CeBIH website, which is www.cebih.org. CeBIH spelled CeBIH.org. And we have put in some features on that platform to make it more smart and intelligent. You know, Bank of the Future is no longer digital. It's intelligence. Correct. You're learning fast.
Yes.
So Bank of the Future is intelligent. What we have done to that platform is, whenever you are defrauded, your bank has given you processes, platforms, channels, instruments to complain. In fact, the central bank even mandated it that all banks must put on their USSD *911. So your bank, like now, I work in WEMA Bank, the USSD code for WEMA Bank is *945. For Guaranty Trust Bank is *737. For Zenith Bank is *961.
For First Bank,
*895. 894. Yes. You know, for
like
Fidelity, 770. So the next digit will then be star 911 hash.
Okay, so
my bank now for WEMA Bank star 945 star 911. You know, like somebody call 911 like crisis. Good. When you dial that, it asks you, are you dialing this from your number or from a third party number? Okay. So that means you can also report that fraud
through third party.
You can use it to block your account when you notice that they've just defrauded or robbed you and your phone has been missing. You can go and block your account using that short code. You know, there are also means of calling your bank's contact center.
To
say, hey, I've been defrauded or I'm being defrauded, or to report a fraud. What CeBIH has done, don't forget, CeBIH is not a bank.
True.
Is to complement all the efforts your banks have done for you. There's a platform by Central Bank for all the industry players, which is the industry fraud desk. There's a policy on it, full policy on it, released. And that policy is still very, very much active, which allows every financial institution, CeBIH licensed institution, to have a fraud desk. That fraud desk needs to be manned 24/7. In fact, that's the only
banking unit
CeBIH instructed department that must run 24/7. If you like, don't run 24/7 in your IT department. That's your business. Now your customer will move away. It is in your best interest for you to run 24-hour service to serve your customers so that they don't move elsewhere. But for fraud, CeBIH says you must run 24-hour service. Either you run as a shift, but somebody must be there. And you must have 10 phone lines, somebody managing your email addresses there, so that whenever there is fraud. And there's a naming convention. So every fraud desk in every financial institution is fraud desk at the email address, email nomenclature of that financial institution. What we have done is to create a platform on that CeBIH website so that you can go there and report that fraud. What the platform basically do is to intelligently notify
your bank,
all the stakeholders
that are involved.
This person has complained. You don't know the contacts for these financial institutions. CeBIH knows. So CeBIH is contacting them. CeBIH is also following up and following through. In future, that platform will get more intelligent, which can go as far as helping you to block accounts in various banks.
Awesome.
Yes. Today, we have not gotten to that level of integration, but it's work in progress. But first off, is the issue of notifying. At least one problem is solved. Notifying you and linking you up with everybody that can help you.
True.
And we have seen it work. The uptake has been fantastic. People complain and they get responses. But in future, we are saying that the platform will have more capacity to go further and block up to the third level. Block this account. If that account has moved the money to another place, the system will be intelligent enough to go after the money, follow that money, and block as far as possible.
Amazing.
Because it's going to be this fast. Before the first class can log on to the next bank and say they want to move that money, the system will be that intelligent to quickly catch up and block. So we are waiting for that thing, we are working on it. We have launched it. It's currently informative and it's not transactional as such.
True.
In future, the nearest feature is going to be transactional, whereby it will be able to block any financial institution that money is in.
Amazing. What kind of support will CeBIH need from ecosystem to make this deliver on its promise, as you have imagined it?
Good. So when I became the chairman of CeBIH, I addressed the industry, and luckily I was accepted. 3 things I said I wanted to do. First one is around emerging payments, AI, contactless, QR, and all those. The second one is about fraud management. And we said that this fraud management, we need to tackle it. And all the conversation we have been having, which also led us to the strong partnership we have with NEF, Nigeria Electronic Fraud Forum. And the session we had in December at the CIBM building was to gather everybody in the industry together, championed by CeBIH. Let's discuss fraud. Brought in all the operators, law enforcement agencies, policymakers, and regulators and operators to have this conversation. And we are all agreed that we are going to work together. All the fraud that has happened, fraud can't kill fraud. But I can assure you that we have minimized fraud to a certain level. Every financial institution is now very fraud conscious. So you don't just open an account for fraudsters. As a matter of fact, we have seen people who are deploying AI solutions that can even help you detect fraudsters from when they open account. We are becoming more aware of fraud. We are championing that conversation, and everybody is getting aware. In fact, as a matter of fact, CeBIH also introduced something. If you open an account for fraudsters and they use your channel to defraud people, the central bank will debit you. Oh yes, they will debit you as a bank. So banks are forced to complete that KYC and KYB on their customers. Yes. Without saying that other banks need to now then open their doors, knowing fully well that the web will recover their money. Every part of the ecosystem is aware of their roles, rights, and responsibilities, and that's what we are pushing. So, impressive acceptance from the industry because we are on it. We are going as far as talking to the judiciary, which is a conversation that we are championing with the licensed educators in the industry, then judiciary and CIB involved. Speaking to the judiciary, because fraudsters, they know that they can quickly go and get a court injunction against them. So we are enlightening the judiciary as well to say, hey, help us with community of practice and set up dedicated courts for banking fraud. We need to bring everybody on the same page so that when somebody is coming to come and get an injunction from you, you know that no, that first time, it's not happening like that. I won't give you this one, I won't grant you. So that's what we have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's been an enlightening conversation. Any last word from you?
I like what you're doing.
Thank you.
When next you call us, I'll either come or let one of the executives of CeBIH come.
Absolutely.
But you can be sure that CeBIH is committed to championing these conversations. In 2025, we are going to see more of what we are talking about. We have our usual quarterly sessions that will keep speaking to these things and bringing in stakeholders to come and talk about it. We are talking about it, we have to start doing. So we want an industry fraud monitoring tool and fraud blocking tool that is being championed by the power players in the ecosystem, which we all will adopt. So that, and one last word for the fraudsters. I don't know if you guys are, because I understand that you guys are everywhere and you are listening to most of the programs together. Know that we are aware, we are coming after you. We are serious about this. And when I say we, I'm talking about the operators, the regulators, the law enforcement agents, the policymakers, everybody. We are serious about you. We will get you. Yes, we will get you. One of the things the central bank has also done is to listen to us. Where people cash out fraudulent money at agent side most times. And that's why you hear one agent say, somebody came to collect 4 million naira from you. Okay, how 4 million naira? How did you even see 4 million naira? So there's a limit that you can withdraw from an agent now. And these are part of the measures that I mentioned earlier. There are other measures that I would like to keep under wrap because I don't know whether fraudsters are part of the others. But just in case they are part of it, let me just tell you guys, change, go and find work, find better work to do. Because this industry will come after you, it will get you. It will get you.
Sanitized. Free of fraudsters. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
It's been a nice conversation and I think very enlightening. It's a privilege to have you. Again, this is the EFINA podcast where we spotlight key issues that bother the ecosystem and also talk about the solution, highlighting what the different actors are doing. And today's conversation has been really, really revealing. I like the fact that this platform that CeBIH has built is helping. So I don't really need to memorize the codes, right?
Exactly.
All I just need to do is go there and fill the necessary fields, right? And CeBIH helps me to do the other ones. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you, come back to CeBIH. CeBIH is our partner in this, right? And we'll continue to do this to ensure that the issue of trust is addressed and people begin to have more trust in the system. And like you did say, word of mouth, so there are elements in the system that are trying to don't use it because you never can tell whether your money will go, so come and use cash. And those are conversations for another day that we'll talk about. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Ajibade Laolu-Adewale, the chairman of Committee of E-Business Industry Heads, CeBIH, and Chief Partnership Officer at WEMA Bank. Mr. Chairman, as I fondly call you, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And it's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and bye-bye.